Welcome back to another podcast of the Black Widow Deer Lures podcast. So, covered a lot of information on the last one.
A lot more than we thought we were going to start.
Yeah, so we kicked it off. If you guys listened to the last podcast, the history of Black Widow, where the company started, all that good stuff. So if you haven't heard that one, go back and take a listen to that one. Basically, you know, how Andy started, how the family worked together to build the company to where it is now, 25 years later. And so we covered a little bit on the last podcast some of this topic, kind of based on how the business started was based off Freshness and your unsatisfactory
of what was out there.
What was out there, yeah. Not satisfied with what they were bringing to you. And actually, something that we didn't touch in is you actually owned a sporting goods business.
I owned a sporting goods store, and but we got out of that. You know, that was before Black Widow.
Yeah. So that was actually how you started coming in contact with some of these other products that you weren't happy with.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so that kind of the little bit of backstory kind of helps, kind of understand that you weren't happy with the product.
I used to sell some, other people's stuff, and I was just looking. I was like, and then I moved and got rid of the business and. Had an ex-wife, so we moved, and then it was okay. I'm starting this, and because I didn't like what was out there, and I actually, became a rep for about a year or two, and I said, I can't lie.
Yeah,
I mean, these people were lying. I could do it better, and just did.
Yeah, and what were you saying? Like so a lot of the. Listening back to the first kickoff podcast, the different colors of and then kind of how we discussed how the advertisement worked and how you kind of got things going, but really like breaking down what should deer lures look like, and how can you tell when they're just old?
Well, anywhere from it depended on what they eat, and this all goes. And just like humans, your peas different colors. You can go anywhere if they're really hydrated to almost clear, to a yellow, to a very light amber color.
Right.
But when it starts looking like soy sauce,
right. Yeah.
There ain't no animal out there to peas that. No human, no dog, no cat, no deer.
Right. So that's where the term old, brown, and broken down comes from. Yep. So you guys will see a lot of the advertising that we use in different ad campaigns. You'll see where it says, don't use old, brown, and broken down, and that's where it comes from. Is because when these cells start breaking down, then it takes on that color.
And and a lot of people, let's go with that color, but let's go with another thing. A lot of people always go, well, a lure has a little bit of ammonia smell. Yeah, sometimes it does, depending if it's really, really bad. But anybody that doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah.
Mine or somebody else's, it doesn't mean it's bad. Because anybody that's had babies, children, and they put them down for a nap or whatever, or they sleep through the night, hopefully, and wake up in the morning and their diaper is soaked, and they open up the diaper and you can smell ammonia.
Right.
It ain't old.
Right.
It's within a couple hours, but your urine is waste.
Right.
And the same thing with a deer. It's waste.
Mm-hmm.
And it's made up of a lot of ammonia in it. So when you started saying about the brown, it doesn't mean when it's the ammonia, a little tin of ammonia smell, doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah.
But when it's brown, and there's some of them out there I look at, I go, oh my Lord, it looks like soy sauce.
Oh yeah.
I mean, brown.
Yeah. So if it gets over, oh Lord, a year old or so, it really starts breaking
going
down. Really starts getting that brownish color. Because even myself, when we have lures left over from the previous season, you can start to notice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's with us pouring fresh and knowing that it's that nice amber yellow color, and then that same bottle, go back to it if you had some left over. Go back to it in 6, 7, 8 months, and you already start seeing it change.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And the urines are different. Collected at, say for instance, you got a big old dominant buck. His urine won't be the same color in most cases as a doe, because he's over there peeing down his hocks, his hock glands, and he's rubbing it together. I mean, and you're getting a little bit more darkness, from it, so different shades, and
Right.
But it should be anywhere from a clear to a very light amber color,
Right.
And if it starts getting brown, it's no
Awesome.
good. I mean, most of my lure, like this,
you can see through the bottle. Yeah.
I don't know if there's a
Yeah,
light
here
here,
in the
but
studio, yeah, we're
if you can see through the bottle, you can take it up and you can see through the bottle.
yeah, absolutely.
But there's a lot of them out there. You
And
pick up the bottle and it's like,
Yeah. And even our bottles do have a slight tint to them already, but you can still see through the bottle itself. Yeah, but once you actually look at it, and then when you put it on a wick, you can tell. So sometimes when I put it on one of the white scent wicks that we have, you can see that light amber yellow color. And then and I remember before, when I was younger, teenager, using different products before I came across Black Widow. When I put it on a wick, it was brown. And that's how I was like, it was always, and then when I started using Black Widow, I was like, wow, this stuff actually kind of looks like when I take a leak, I can see that it's amber color,
I've done that on a few advertisements where I've taken, killed a doe and taken the urine right from that doe,
Right.
put it in a bottle, taken Black Widow deer lures, and taken two national brands, National Brand A, National Brand B, and had a board in an angle with white felt and poured them down it. The difference is amazing.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
you can see collected from a doe just shot within an hour. Black Widow, almost identical.
Right.
And then you look at the two, big name manufacturers, and it's like dumping soy sauce or dark night old coffee down it.
Right. And if you're a visual person, you can go to the Black Widow Deer Lures YouTube channel, and we actually have that video on the YouTube channel. So you guys, if you want to take a look at it, you can see we've done it several different ways with the actually I think it was in kind of like the test tubes, and you poured it, I believe, if I remember correctly. But yeah, you could actually go to the Black Widow Deer Lures YouTube channel, and you can see that video for yourself and see kind of the comparison, and then you can kind of see visually what we're talking about here in the studio right now. And so that covers the color and the freshness of the urines, but something different that Black Widow Deer Lures have done for years is that there's a difference.
Probably 15, 16, 17 years. Yeah.
Right, there's a difference.
Maybe even longer than that. I can't quite remember.
Yeah.
But I knew there was a difference. I knew there was a difference just looking at the deer. You look at deer from Alabama or Texas. You look at a deer from Iowa or Michigan or Ohio, and they're just bigger, blockier. They're different proportions. Do they kind of look the same? Yeah, but one's bigger, one's smaller. But that's the way it is in nature. The farther north you get, the bigger the body they get,
Right.
and a lot of that is for self, keeping them alive. Basically,
the core.
the
Keeping
core.
the core warm.
You get up to Manitoba, and they got the big bodies because they've got more core around their inner organs to keep them warm and
pound deer more.
and alive. And the deer you get down to Texas, and the farther down in Texas, the hotter it gets, the smaller body, the
Absolutely.
cooler body.
Yeah, so there's so many different subspecies, so many different ones.
So
how did you harness that information? And actually, first off, who confirmed that for you?
Back in the old days, you didn't have internet.
You didn't fire off an email?
No.
Andy?
I sent letters to, I probably shouldn't name the universities or the doctors, but
We'll just say several.
A Texas university, a Michigan university, I think the Georgia University, probably half a dozen different universities, and these were professors that were into deer and animals.
Right.
And
a biologist.
And I asked him, I go, is there a difference in the subspecies, etc.? And resounding, yes, there's a difference in the different subspecies. And it was the one doctor, it would be looked down right now, but I'm gonna repeat it, but it's not racist or anything. It's just human beings around the world. We all could breed. We're all humans, but different parts of the world, you have different subspecies of humans.
Right.
You go to Polynesia. They're a little bit different than somebody from Africa or somebody from Norway or somebody from China. We're all humans. We can all breed together, just like the deer. Deer can all breed together, but they all have their little bit intricacies.
Intricacies.
Yeah.
There you go.
And a lot of it has to do with what they eat also.
Right.
It's like people have always heard, you are what you eat. And if somebody eats a lot of garlic, you get somebody Italian or whatever eats a lot of garlic,
right,
and you can smell it.
Absolutely.
And the same thing with the deer. You get deer that are up in Iowa or Michigan or anywhere up there, and they're eating corn, they're eating soybeans, eating apples. It's different than the deer that are down in Florida or Texas, and they're eating palmetto berries and persimmons. Different
foods, different smells.
Yeah, and it changes their secretions. And then, what was cool, somebody else finally came out about 5 years ago, and they came out with a TV show. And Dr. Deer, I think, was on that too.
Right.
Kroll, wasn't it? It was called the Whitetail Slam or something about the Whitetail Slam, and there are all the different subspecies. So what we did, and we didn't go with the 15 or 20 different subspecies because we couldn't bottle it that way, and you couldn't get the herd that way. So we actually bottle from two different herds. We have a northern herd and a southern herd from two different subspecies, and that's what I came out with. Like I can't remember when, 15 to 18 years ago.
Right.
And it was red label, gold label. Gold label was the north, red label was the south.
Yeah,
southern whitetails. So there is a difference. Some people go, well, there is a difference, And I was always asked, well, why doesn't the other companies do it? I go, other companies don't do it because it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work to be able to collect from two different herds, and that, and visually, if you're listening to this podcast, you could also catch it on our Black Widow Dealers YouTube channel, where you can actually visually see the two bottles we have sitting here on the table. And again, we've got a gold label, which is the northern lure, and then we've got the red label, which is the southern lure. Mm-hmm. And now these are available in all the different urines that we carry, so that you can have your regional specific urine, which is another advantage of using Black Widow deer lures over the competition, because again, it's very tedious work.
It's tedious. It's just like us having fresh lure and dating it and taking the old product back and throwing it away. Other manufacturers, there's only one that out there that puts a date on one of their products, but the rest of it, they don't put dates on it. Why? Because they don't want to take it off the shelves. It's a lot of work and money.
Yeah, there's a lot
Having
of
it
money.
shipping back, and so they don't want to do it. So, but we've been doing this for 15 to 18 years, and I believe in it, and there is a difference.
Anyway, and we have had some customers that actually have used the different colored bottles in different states. Because
I had,
let's try it. Let's see what happens.
I had a dealer in Alabama, and he was up in Ohio. The first time he saw our lure, he bought it at a dealer up there, at a Gold Label. Then he had some left over, and he killed a really nice buck up there. He
Right.
came back to Alabama, and he put it out, and he killed a really nice buck for Alabama.
Right.
And so now he carries 2/3 red label or 1/3 gold label in his shop. So I have a handful that do that, and
So it says kind of like a out of town girl visiting.
it kind of the way he said it, he goes, it's kind of like, when you get a pretty girl that has that British accent, and you kind of like, huh?
Something a little different.
And the same
A
thing-
little different about that girl.
Something a little different.
Oh yeah, because I have heard of guys that are using it in different states, a red label in northern states, and sometimes gold label in the southern states, just for that kind of, because deer are curious.
They're curious.
At times they're a little curious, but the success on our lures being fresh and actually regional specific has been tremendous. I mean, as far as the scent, because you can, at times, if it's got different scents and it is not what they're used to, I mean, it could definitely have a different effect.
Mm-hmm. And what I want to also point out, a lot of people go, well, where's the north, where's the south? We have to draw a line, but the line's kind of blurred.
Right.
Okay, you can go from Virginia, being the north, right through Kentucky. And a lot of people say, well, Kentucky's south. Well, no, not really. It's still a Borealis subspecies of whitetail. Right across, through, Illinois and stuff like that is all north. And the southern lure, everybody goes, well, I'm right on the border. That's why I'm saying it's blurred, because they interbreed to the point where 50, 75 miles north and south of the borders, you could probably go with both because,
Right. Yeah.
they're interbred more. I mean, where the distinction really happens is when you're hunting up in Michigan or New York, Pennsylvania, or you're hunting in Georgia, Alabama,
Right.
Louisiana,
Yeah,
Mississippi.
kind of a little bit deeper in
Right.
the regions, a little deeper in the states. Yeah.
Right.
And it's and it's not cut to, like you said, to the subspecies. So specific.
There's not a line. There's not a line across the states that sit there and said, "Well, on this side of the street it's red label. On that side of the street it's gold label." No, it's good 100 miles or so either
Right.
way. 75 miles.
Yeah, because
either
we
way.
have had people ask, well, what would be the best? And we're like, and the response would be, well, you're kind of on that line, so you can really go either way, and try them both, see which one works better for you.
That's some wording there. You got to watch out.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's that's the difference when you guys see the gold label versus the red label. So, a lot of questions. You can see the graphics. We do have the graphics up on our website. You'll see it on our social media. That way, depending on the state, if you want a quick glance and see which lure is better for you, then you can see on the map exactly what color is recommended for your area. But again, like I said, if you want to try one or other and the other and see what happens, go for it. There's been some success, but the most success has been because they are actually split up
Right.
for the north and the south, especially where you're at. So we're talking a little bit about
because you like most of the they call it woodland, but Borealis subspecies, around the Great Lakes and up that way, but then you have Texanus subspecies, which is down in Texas, going up in Louisiana and Mississippi, and you got Virginis comes down through Georgia, and
Right.
I mean, a lot of people don't realize so many subspecies of whitetails. I mean, you go down to the Keys of Florida, they got the key deer. That's a whitetail.
Yep.
And a lot of people
Small, tiny,
tiny,
little teeny things.
and then you go to the desert along the Mexican border and such, and some people call it cows, I call it coos.
Yeah.
You got the coos deer, and they're small too, but that's a whitetail.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize how far whitetails go. And actually, I got surprised a little bit. I mean, I saw them in St. Croix on the island there, and they were doing a study, and I go, really? And then I got caught off guard there. What's the name? Shockey. Shockey about 3 years ago had a show, and he was in, I can't remember, Chile or something like that. They're down there to hunt whitetail.
Wow.
And they look the same, the whitetails, and you can look that one up. I mean, that show was a good show, but they had a injury. I think the cameraman fell off the road, but it was he got injured real bad.
Oh, those roads are crazy over there too. I know I've seen a lot of videos,
And
where you're kind of riding on a cliff.
yeah, he fell and got hurt. But yeah, they were hunting whitetails in Chile.
Oh wow.
I think it was Chile, Peru or Chile, somewhere
Right.
down there.
Yeah. Well, and that's so kind of, since we have different labels for the different subspecies, this is definitely not to be confused with how some companies have your bargain lures. So you're not, when you look at this, so just to clarify, when gold label doesn't mean that is a premium lure and the red label is our less than premium lure. Basically, there's two different regions. So when you see the gold label, it's for your northern states, your red label is for your southern states. However, you are starting to see a couple different products from different companies that you'll see what we call bargain lures because they're much cheaper. What exactly are those?
Oh boy!
Without throwing,
I don't name. I never name.
Yeah.
I never name companies. And you'll never hear me doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a few out there that they'll have a 1 ounce bottle of doe estrus that's $12.99 or whatever. That's their. Then they'll have this other estrus lure that's like $4.55 for 2 ounces, twice as much.
Right.
But it's you can just look at you can just pour it out, look at it. You get this one here they're charging $13 for an ounce, is yellow.
Yeah.
Fairly,
Yep.
not old. Then they got this other stuff over here, and it's as chocolate can be, and so basically they're selling
It's like a low grade,
low
quality.
grade, something that's been at the collection facility maybe for a year, 2 years on some barrels, and they take it and
They
get
gotta
it for
use something for it.
pennies on the dollar, and they pour it and sell it.
Yeah, so or it could have been something that got overheated in shipment or something,
But it doesn't take a rocket scientist to sit there and say, well, I've got one here that's 2 ounces, it's only $5.
yeah.
But I got one here that's 1 ounce, that's $13.
Yeah. So again, I mean, it may to some people look like it may kind of look attractive because the price point, but really it's just it's such a low quality. You probably do. I mean, I hate to say, but I mean, not a shot at the other company, but you're probably going to do more damage spooking deer than you would really attracting any, I would think.
Yeah, it's about as rotten could be.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just.
Yeah. So,
but people will buy it. There's a lot of people who go out there and
save $1.
save $1. The
Save
same
$1.
thing. I see a lot of people. I see on Facebook. Hey, look what I got. That's like March.
Or on clearance, yeah.
$1 a bottle, $2 a bottle. It's like
I got this on clearance. It's I'm stockpiling it for next year.
It's like, okay, that's going to be about 30-40% strength, maybe.
Yeah, if that.
Maybe.
Absolutely.
But it's If it floats their boat, that's
Yeah. So instead of throwing it out, so again, when you see these products, it's common sense. You can definitely tell when, you got some bargain lures at a very, very cheap price point. Essentially, trying to recover some money without throwing it away.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of what happens.
Well, we throw ours away.
Yeah. So ours are discarded every year. We actually destroy it every year when we call it back from every company, and so to see some of it out there, like I said, I just felt like we probably needed to clarify, because some people have asked if the gold label is more special than the red label. So there's some clarity right there that these are actually for gold labels for the north, red labels for the south. They are still premium lures. They're still fresh lures. They're both equals in their areas. However, the golden label is not superior to the red label.
No.
So this is definitely just to clarify for everybody when they go out on the shelf and they see a company A or company B that has multiple lures at different price points. That is not what our product is. Our product is based for the region.
No, correct. And we have a few different Estes lures, but we'll talk about that in a future podcast here.
Yeah.
I think we have it listed at a couple ahead.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why we have it. We've got regular hot and ready, we've got triple X, and we've got matriarch. And we'll explain at that time, the difference in between them. And
so that's actually the next podcast. If you guys follow up with us on the next one, we're actually going to go over the product line, the different lures, and basically what we carry in black-wooded deer lures and what you can expect from the different lures and kind of the purpose for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, well, there you go, guys. There's another episode of Black-Wooded Deer Lures podcast. We appreciate you guys listening. Again, if you missed the first one, go back and take a listen to it, and that kind of covers the history of Black-Wooded Deer Lures, where the company came from, the work that Andy put in to build the company, and again, we're celebrating 25 years of business in the hunting industry. 25 years.
Oh, I was 40 years old.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, dang.
Oh, he's telling on himself here.
Oh, God.
There you go. So, again, guys, thanks for listening, and we will be back with our next episode where we're going to go over all of the line of black-wooded deer lures and go a little bit more in detail.
All right. Sounds super.